The rise of FTX was something that many people watched. It garnered huge bucks for the company and offered an exchange for cryptocurrency that many people could get behind. The only thing more interesting than the rise of the company was the fall of it. Want to know the sticky situation FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried got into? Well, keep watching to find out everything you need to know about the FTX and more. First, let's talk a little about FTX.
We are learning a lot more about the stunning collapse of cryptocurrency giant FTX.
FTX was founded in 2019 by Sam Bankman-Fried and Gary Wang. The company, which was based in the Bahamas, took off quite quickly. By 2021, just 2 years after it was founded, the company already had over 1 million users. The company offered a way for people within the crypto world to connect with others. It offered them the ability to purchase or sell crypto, or even enter into contracts that would result in coins and tokens. For fans who had enough crypto tokens, there were sections that involved people buying and selling NFTs and other rare digital collectibles. For those who are not aware of the way FTX went out, in the beginning it seemed that the world was in FTX's hands. Despite that, the company had an incredibly rough patch and went under in 2022. Before that, the company had great numbers and even got investments from some of the biggest names in the world. Names like Pantera Capital, the company responsible for being the first cryptocurrency fund in the States and being the company to launch the first venture fund to be blockchained. There have also been non-crypto company investors such as American football player Tom Brady. Next, let's discuss the FTX crash and its effects.
Apparently, this of course after the collapse of the cryptocurrency exchange.
Despite how great FTX seemed to be for the future of crypto, and how every day people would spend their money in the future, the company did not have what it took to stay alive, and was forced to file for bankruptcy on November 11, 2022. The official cause of the company going under is attributed to a lack of liquidity, as well as horrific management of funds. After things started to seem sketchy with FTX, many people who had used the company to store their money rushed to make withdrawals. The people who had invested their money in FTX saw this, and it frightened most of them into backing out. In the midst of all this, the value of FTT, which is the native token for FTX, took a deep dive. But it was not the only one. Before FTT hit the bottom, it brought down the value of some other associated tokens. Some of the tokens that went down with FTT included Ethereum and the very popular Bitcoin. While both Ethereum and Bitcoin have managed to stay afloat, the popular crypto company BlockFi was forced into bankruptcy on the 28th of November, just 7 days after FTX had officially filed for bankruptcy. Now, let's talk about the Sam Bankman-Fried FTX movie in the works. The situation that Sam Bankman-Fried found himself in was one that was incredibly unfortunate. Many crypto and tech experts watched as FTX came crashing down, and they couldn't help but be interested in what was unfolding in front of them. While the name Sam Bankman-Fried may be very familiar to people who are well-versed in the world of crypto, to everybody else, the name rings no bells. That's about to change once Apple's plan begins to fall into motion. Popular finance author Michael Lewis spent 6 months with Bankman-Fried, learning everything there was to learn about him, and gathering all of the information he could about what went down. All of the intel he has gathered will be going towards his book. Fans of the crypto and finance world have expressed interest in the book, but it's the gigantic software company Apple that seems to be the most interested. The company has been having discussions with Lewis revolving around the rights for the writing. Apple wants to turn the book into a movie. Usually, it'd be hard to decline a company like Apple, which could pay a lot, but Lewis is considering other deals with companies like Netflix and Amazon. Let's now discuss how Bankman-Fried lives his life. At just 30 years old, Sam Bankman-Fried was worth billions of dollars, which we don't have to tell you is a lot of money. Most 30-year-olds who come into a quarter of that money would spend it on ridiculous and expensive nonsense that they don't need. Bankman-Fried, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. During his time as a billionaire, Bankman-Fried did not live a lavish or flashy life. It just wasn't his thing. In fact, Bankman-Fried did not even own some type of fancy, overpriced bed. Instead, he slept on a beanbag that can be found around his office. In terms of enjoyment, Bankman-Fried does not spend his time racing expensive cars or traveling to exclusive islands. Bankman-Fried's time is instead spent playing a fantasy game by the name of Story Brawl, or the much more popular League of Legends. If you ask many people, Bankman-Fried is a normal person. He doesn't wear clothes that cost thousands. He doesn't even wear outfits that cost hundreds. Instead, you can find Bankman-Fried wearing a basic gray t-shirt with a pair of blue shorts. Even the car he drives is modest, commuting around town in a Corolla, when he does choose to leave his office. Moving on, let's talk about what Mark Cuban had to say about Bankman-Fried. Mark Cuban and Sam Bankman-Fried have had some things in common in the past. They both have surpassed the mark of $1 billion net worth, and they're both firm believers in the world of crypto. Now, after the crashing of FTX, Cuban had a talk with TMZ to discuss Sam Bankman-Fried, saying that he had spoken to him in the past and felt that he was a smart man and that he had no clue of Bankman-Fried's intentions. Cuban continued on to say that he believes smart contracts are among some of the most important aspects when it comes to technologies that help with the translation of crypto. He believes that they will have a significant impact when it comes to valuable applications. Despite the collapse of FTX making people look at crypto differently, Cuban has reminded people time and time again that he will not be backing away anytime soon, saying that there is a need to separate the signal from the noise, and that despite many mistakes, it does not change the underlying value of crypto. He also said that he believes Bankman-Fried should be quite worried about getting some serious jail time regarding his actions. Let's now discuss some lawsuits that were dished to investors. FTX seemed as if it was the next big thing when it was first introduced to the scene. It's no wonder that many athletes and celebrities would step up and put some of their own money and time into the company. Now, the many stars that pitched in and contributed to the growth of FTX are being hit with a lawsuit. The lawsuit, which was filed just days after the collapse of the company, goes after some big names who were involved in the situation. Names like Steph Curry, Shaquille O'Neal, Gisele Bündchen, Larry David, and Tom Brady. These celebs are just a few. The list continues to name many others. The lawsuit alleges that these celebrities were hired by Bankman-Fried in an attempt to help him with his plan. The evidence is two different ads for FTX, one featuring Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen, where the two global superstars ask everybody they knew if they would be interested in joining them on FTX. The second ad was one featuring comic writer Larry David, in which the actor goes through centuries being skeptical of things, including crypto, which according to the lawsuit brought in millions of business for FTX. Finally, let's talk about what Bankman-Fried had to say about everything. Many people were shocked to hear about the fraud that contributed to the collapse of FTX. Among those people was the man at the front of everything, Sam Bankman-Fried. Bankman-Fried spoke on the situation, saying that it was never his intention to commit fraud, and that, despite what Mark Cuban thinks, he doesn't believe he has any criminal liability. He also attempted to defend himself from rumors that he had secretly transferred money, saying that he had instead simply misread some confusing internal labeling. Bankman-Fried explained how things felt on the week of November 11th, the week when $6 billion was pulled from the platform, and he stepped down as chief executive. All Bankman-Fried had said about the situation was that a lot had happened that week. Throughout his hour-long interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, Bankman-Fried stood by his innocence, saying that he had never knowingly taken funds from the customers of FTX, and that he had never given any customer funds to his trading firm, Alameda Research. Bankman-Fried said that to the best of his knowledge, all of the customers and businesses are okay, at least in terms of client assets. He said that derivatives contracts were fully collateralized. FTX, and Sam Bankman-Fried especially, has gotten into a lot of hot water recently. Now, thanks to Michael Lewis, we'll get to see it play out on the big screen. What do you think we'll learn from the movie version? Let us know your predictions in the comments down below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.